Greetings and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host, Johnny Paulus. Johnny.
What up?
Welcome on in, sir. It is the, we're wrapping up the month of August here. It's just about done. All the little kiddies are going back to school.
Yep, first day of school tomorrow.
Yeah, for me, that also includes the missus, who is a school teacher. So everyone in my house is really stressed out and upset because their summer's coming to an end, and I'm just like, well, I don't see what the big deal is, right, guys. It's just another Monday. Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. I really don't miss going back to school, so to speak. I don't miss it.
No. It's
much nicer just being an adult where I work year round and go, oh, yeah, those people are having to deal with something that I don't have to deal with anymore.
Well, I'm also I'm enjoying a 3-day weekend this week, so I'm off tomorrow because not only is it the first day of school, it is also my wife and I's 13th anniversary is tomorrow.
13.
My marriage is a teenager as of tomorrow.
Man.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm only I'll still be under just half that come this winter. We got married at a really cold time. It was December 16th. It was 20 degrees outside the courthouse.
Yeah, that's guaranteed to be cold December 16th.
Yeah, it's right before Christmas. So it's easy to remember, which is also nice. Yeah, so this week I sort of got to do some interesting stuff.
Okay.
Mostly work related. There's certain things that I can and can't talk about it based on who I was doing the projects for. But I did get to go to the governor's mansion in Richmond, Virginia to do a presentation of sorts.
Cool.
Which was pretty neat and went really well. So that of course is going to have some impact on our first segment here because I had to go live it up on the road for a bit this past week. Otherwise, I've been home and doing the mic thing of fixing up old video games and playing a lot of bass guitar lately. Like, honestly, really been into that of late. The Surveyor rocketh hardeth, and I'm quite a fan of it. So
yeah, that bass is sick. You linked it in Twitch chat, and I was like, fuck. It's a monster, dude. I dig it.
It's very mean looking. But that's basically been it for me. Nothing too earth shattering. Everything been okay with the Johnny Paulus.
Yeah, I had 2 gigs this weekend. I had Friday at Full Tilt in Baltimore, and then Saturday at my favorite place to play, Poorhouse Pub. Friday was okay. Saturday, as always, was awesome. Tons of tips, really great crowd. It was really funny because normally it's either like really good crowd response or no crowd response, and that's kind of it. But with this one, it was the second set I lost them. The second set, I wasn't getting shit out of anybody. First set, from the moment I walked in, had him eating out of my hand, huge applause. I come back for the second set, nothing. Come back for the third set, murdered it again. Now, my favorite part of the night is I played Counting Crows Round Here, and when I was done, this middle-aged gentleman came up to me, walked right up to me and said, "Hey, I really needed that. Thank you." And I was like, "That's super sweet. You're very welcome." But no, I had a very, very good gig Saturday. And then next weekend, I have 3 gigs. I am playing Friday, and then I have 2 gigs on Saturday. Now, the day gig is a duo gig with Lucas at a dispensary in Cockeysville. So that'll be fun.
Cockeysville.
Yeah.
That's the day gig.
That's the day gig.
So you have to go to Cockeysville than from Cockeysville to somewhere else.
Yep.
Wow.
It's going to be a lot of driving that day, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast. I'll what day is that?
Saturday.
Oh yeah. I think that's my day off.
Yeah, they're having like an outdoor block party kind of thing at the dispensary. So Lucas and I are doing a duo thing.
Yeah, it's my like day off where I generally sit and do absolutely just nothing.
Well, hell yeah, come by and yeah, I'm sure they're going to be doing sales and stuff at the dispensary. Should be interesting.
What's the place that's not in Cockeysville that you're playing?
I think I'm playing Mamma Mia. Let me double check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, geography nerds out there that know the Mid-Atlantic know that Cockeysville is not very close to where me and Johnny live. It does have an amazing name.
Yeah.
I think to us, we're just like, oh yeah, fucking Cockeysville. But if you're not from here, you'd be like, wait, what's the town called?
It's next to Grumpy's Town.
Cockeysville. Well,
and yes, the other gig is Mamma Mia. So I'm playing an hour away that way, and then an hour away that way.
Yeah, that's dedication. I like it.
Gonna be some driving.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is episode 81 of this Power Gamer podcast. This past week, we had Gamescom. More to discuss on that in a bit. First, as we do every week, let's discuss what we have been playing. Looks like we have something in common, so we'll save that for last.
Sure.
As I mentioned before, I was trapped in a hotel room for a little bit this past week, so I took with me my faithful Nintendo Switch, and I fired up. This is how, I don't know, this is just how we're going to say the name of the game from now on, okay? I fired up LiveALive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like any other pronunciation of that makes any fucking sense. Can we agree that it's LiveALive?
I think it's got to be LiveALive because LiveALive. There's a million different other ways you could say it. I think LiveALive makes sense to me.
Yes, that has meaning. Live as though you are alive.
Yes.
I've heard some people call it LiveALive, and I'm like, how do you even make your brain do that?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't understand. Like, I get it's an old ass game from Japan that was never intended to be put into English in any way, shape, or form. I get that. But if the name on the game, and here's the real fucked up thing about the name on the game, right?
Yeah.
That weakens my argument.
Okay.
It's LIVE.
Yeah.
Giant fucking A. Now here's where your mind will fuck with you, and you'll think that you've crossed like quantum dimensions or something where like, I remember this thing being this certain way, and then it's totally not that way that you remembered it.
Okay.
Sort of like the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, that no. I can't do it.
Yeah. So it's on the cover, it's LIVE big A.
Yeah.
And then in reverse, EVIL, evil.
What?
Yeah, not kidding. Look up a picture real quick.
That's the logo? No.
Yeah. It's written backwards though.
Wow, you're right.
See? So is it live evil? Who knows? Is it trying to show us the reflection of live is evil? It could be.
All right, man, I don't know.
We could talk about this for an entire hour, but by the end of it, you would all unsubscribe to our show, and we really don't want that. So that being said,
tell me about the game.
Yeah, let's just talk about the game instead. So the game is okay. The game is okay.
Okay.
I like everything about the game that I've played so far, which isn't much. There are sort of like Octopath Traveler, but not really. There's basically like individual stories. It's like a collection of tiny RPGs that have nothing to do with one another. And you just play each one. Each one takes like a few hours to complete. And then you're like, yay, I finished that story. Then you start the next one. There's like a prehistoric person. There's a cowboy. There's someone from like imperial or feudal Japan or China, whatever.
Okay.
So on and so forth. There's a future, like distant future, near future, present, and past guy. It's all sorts of different times. It's sort of like, and I think intentionally it was a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, where it plays with all the different timelines. And
Got
stuff.
it.
But then it plays more like Saga Frontier or Octopath Traveler. Anyway, I digress. Graphics on it are great. Controls on it for like moving around the level feel kind of rough, which that's not something I talk about very much these days. But, you know, especially like when you're playing a game with a joystick, right? This isn't a Switch controller, but it's within reach. When you're moving around with a joystick, you really want that to feel smooth.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't. Like, it really wants you to play with the D-pad when you're moving around. You can feel, even with the joystick, these dead zones that don't make sense.
Okay.
Kind of a weird gripe, but I promise anyone that sits down and plays it, you will notice what I'm talking about immediately. Kind of weird. It almost feels like a lag because your brain is thinking at a certain point in the motion that you should hook up and change directions, and it doesn't quite do it where your brain has been taught it happens before. Really weird.
Okay.
Combat system is also really weird. So I wasn't. I knew it was turn-based, like most good JRPGs are.
Okay.
What's interesting is on a. It has a grid that appears.
Okay.
Right, sort of like a tactics game.
Yeah.
Except it's all on like flat terrain. So you do have to like. It goes into a battle screen, and you have to move your character closer to the enemies, but every step you take, just like a tactics game, their bar for action is filling.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird mishmash of like XCOM and Chrono Trigger, kind of like, and Final Fantasy Tactics kind of smushed together.
But it's like it's on an active battlefield. It's not like, because most
but then it's
JRPGs
not,
is like load screen and then like here's the
it
fight.
does that. No, it does that. But
Okay.
then it's not. So then it's tactics, but then it's not isometric like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Right. So you're not using terrain. You're just kind of like, I want this guy forward and I want that guy.
But it still throws up like a grid.
Weird.
It's really strange. I've never seen anything like it. So that's about all I have to say about it at this point. Is it's real weird, and I like it. So once I beat it, I'll probably have more to say. But as for right now, it's a weird game, and I like it. That's my first take on LiveALive.
Okay.
Next up for me, a game that came out this week that I've been eagerly awaiting, that Johnny couldn't care less about. Ladies and gentlemen, F1 Manager 22 has been released.
Thank God.
Upon us.
Thank God it's finally here.
Let me tell you. If I could possibly be objective in talking about this game, I would sit here and tell you how woefully mediocre it is.
Okay.
However, as a rabid F1 fan, I can't talk objectively about this game, and it's fucking amazing. It's really good for someone like me, and it's really terrible for anyone else. That's probably the most objective I can be about it.
Okay.
If you don't understand F1 inside and out, this game is not for you. Not for you. you really have to understand F1 for this game to make a lick of sense. And it doesn't do a great job explaining itself, which for me was fine. But as I'm sitting there thinking about it and thinking about talking about it on the show and thinking about making recommendations to people, I do have to admit, if you don't understand F1, this game won't make a lick of fucking sense to you.
Yeah.
Especially not to Americans who have sort of been like trained into racing being something that it's not really. F1 is all about, it's not about the drivers really. It's about the manufacturers. That's like a really big different thing with F1. And, you know, a lot of our American brethren, when they think of racing, they think of NASCAR. What's NASCAR? Everybody gets the same car.
Yep.
Even though some of them have a Toyota badge on it, some of them have a Chevy badge, some of them have a Ford badge. But end of the day, they're heavily regulated machines, and they're all basically the same car. People's minds are typically blown when I tell them that every F1 car is completely unique. And like, if you pull up a picture of the Mercedes car and the Ferrari car and really look at them, you'll go, oh my God, they're completely different. Not a single line on them is the same. And so if you don't even know that, which again, I'm
didn't
not
know
going people, but most people don't know that about F1. One of the big mechanics of the game is building and upgrading each individual area of the car, which an F1 fan, we're all like super familiar with that because that's what we talk about. Not talking about the driver, we're talking about the car because it's F1. It's the formula for building the car. So you'll be sitting there like with your controller going, wait a second, why am I putting so much time and energy into designing the front wing of the car? Don't I just get the same front wing that everybody else gets? No, it's F1. You got to build that shit, and it's got to be better than everybody else's. And so, like, let's just talk about the process of the front wing, and I think then I can drop this. Johnny's like, please, dear God, anything but this.
Let me get a pillow and a blankie. Go ahead.
This is the game. I'm not talking about like the real F1 anymore. We are talking about the game. Okay. So you sit down in front of the game. This giant, overwhelming menu pops up. I'm in heaven. Everyone else is in hell. But you go to your car section, and then you go to, it has all the different parts of the car. I'm like, okay, yes, awesome. So go to the front wing. Dude, you have to assign the amount of engineers that are going to work on the wing. You have to assign, because in F1 there's caps for how much time you can wind tunnel something. You have to allot the amount of time for wind tunneling in the testing. You have to allot the time for design. And then you have to schedule whether it's a standard build, a rushed build, or an intense build where you're going to learn a lot more for the next time that you build. And then match that up with your calendar and then see when it's going to be done before which Grand Prix. And then once they're done, that they only have just figured out the design, the CAD drawing. Now you have to set up the manufacturer to build it and put it on. It's that in depth. Okay,
That's
so
nuts.
If this sounds like it's too much for you, it is. Stay the fuck away from this game.
Yeah.
However, if you are a giant F1 nerd and love what the, Christian Horners, Toto Wolffs, Mattia Bonettos, what those guys get to do, Johnny's like, oh yeah, I know all of those guys.
Oh yeah. I
household names. Then this game's for you because you're playing as them. You're not playing as the driver. So if you're an F1 fanatic and know everything about the sport, this game is a home run. If you are someone who's just intrigued about F1 and wants to do a management thing, just get the F1 manager game for the phone. It's called like F1 Duels or something like that. That's more that. So this game is insanely in depth and I love it. Johnny, let me pass the torch over to you to go over some stuff, and then we have a joint one here to knock out after that.
Sure. So I've been wanting to go back and start playing, the Castle Wolfenstein games. I don't think I've rolled.
Castlevania Stein.
I don't think I've rolled credits on any of the new ones except for Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I know I beat that way back in the day on PC. Probably beat it, and that game's old. I mean, that game's like 2003, 2004 old. But I remember rolling credits on that one. But I was curious, one of the big things I love about PC gaming is the mod community and seeing what's out there. So I just got curious and just Googled, what's the newest, hottest mod for the original Return to Castle Wolfenstein. There's one called Real RTCW, so Real Return to Castle Wolfenstein. If you own the game in Steam, you just go to the workshop and you search Real RTCW, all one word, and you hit add, and then you hit open. And it just plain works, and you get full HD, and you get unlocked frames, and it's got better texture filtering, and it's got a lot of tweaked textures. And I mean, the game still looks dated, but it looks a lot less dated. It makes it a lot better to look at. But man, I got sucked in and sat and played that game for 3-4 hours and loved it. Had a lot of fun with it. So old school first person shooter, a little bit going down memory lane. And then the other thing that I played this week that took up 2 nights of gameplay is the new free DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's called the Forgotten Saga. So anybody that has Valhalla and hasn't checked it, hasn't played it in a while, here's what you do. You fire it up and you go to Ravensthorpe, and there is now a new building that you can build. And as soon as you go talk to that guy, he hands you this horn. And Ivor is immediately like, oh my God, this is the horn of such and such. And he's like, no, it's a replica. It's not the real thing. She's like, but this is exactly the way it should be. And he's like, yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like, if I get a good enough description of something, I can make a replica. That's my deal. And then Ivor and the woman who did the whole Vision Quest thing where you play as Javi and you do all that shit, they get together and go, well, we could just send you on a Vision Quest and you can describe these things that you find to him, and then he can make them. So in this side quest where you live as Javi, Baldur, your son, has died and is in the underworld, and Javi wants to save him. So this new free DLC is a roguelike. And it's not just a roguelike. It's a fully fleshed out. There's a new currency in the roguelike. There's a new skill tree in the roguelike. There are different armors and weapons that you can unlock in the roguelike. When you unlock them in the roguelike, you get them in the real world. So if there's an armor set that you look at and you're like, oh man, I got to get that for Ivor, you can just keep grinding it out and get those parts. But the thing that really surprised me is that all of that sounds great, but on top of that, it's still fully fleshed out. Like, there's story. After my first attempt and failure, and Javi comes back to life and is like, all right, well, I've got to try again. And Thor is there like, dude, Ragnarok is fucking happening right now. Like, what are you doing? We need you. And Javi's like, no, I got to do this. I'm not leaving until I get your brother back. Like, I'm not going anywhere. There's a full-blown story in this. But so as far as the roguelike sort of pathing, like most roguelikes have, there are these different islands that connect by bridges. Once you go across that bridge, the bridge collapses and you can't go back. So the whole time you're going through it, you're making the decision of, okay, do I want to get a new rune and see what rune I get, or do I want to try to get a new weapon? Okay, let me go this way. Okay, now do I want more health, or do I want another power-up? So you don't, like when you're playing regular Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you have your 4 ranged abilities, you have your 4 melee abilities. When you start this roguelike, it gives you a random bow, a random weapon, a random armor, and a random shield. And then as you're working your way through, you're getting, okay, cool, now I have an upgraded weapon, I have an upgraded. But the thing that's so cool about this is that there's so much shit in Valhalla that it works as a roguelike. You're like, okay, cool, now I have the scythe. Fuck the shield, I got the scythe now. this is the strat I'm going with this playthrough. And then you go get a power-up, and you're like, okay, cool. Now I have the big-ass jumping ability. Cool, so I got my scythe, I got my jumping ability, let's rock. And then you keep pushing through, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I got a sniper bow. Okay, sniper bow, scythe, jumping attack. It's a really fucking fun roguelike. If they had released this as Assassin's Creed The Forgotten Saga for $20, I would buy it. It's dope. If you have Valhalla, you should play this. I really, really, really strongly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I'm probably going to play it all the way through and unlock all the things in the skill tree. And it's not brutal. It's not a brutal, unforgiving roguelike, but there are like full blown boss fights and cinematic conversations with the bosses when you get to them, and like it's fucking really cool for a free DLC. So strongly recommend. And lastly, the game that has been taking over Mike and I's week, we can now talk about Cult of the Lamb.
So how far have you gotten, sir?
I have downed the third boss.
Okay. Third boss is legit.
Oh, wait. No, I haven't. I'm on the third boss. I had one more run through of the third world. I should be able to fight the main boss. So I'm on the third world. I'm almost to the third boss. I'll probably beat him tonight. Got it.
Well, then be prepared. He's fucking legit.
Okay. That's good to know.
So what was funny is we'll swing back around and talk about this more generally. Watching Johnny go through this, I gotta say, man, I was a little surprised. Here was my experience. I did not die in this game until I got to the third world boss. So, like, first world to the boss, no death. Second world to that boss, no death. Third world all the way up to the boss, that's where I died. First time. Got it. So I feel like I was having a much easier time with this game than you. And, you know, part of it, I was kind of like sitting back and like, okay, you know, watch them figure it out. But I think part of it, too, was just like play style difference. Yeah. I like big fucking fuck you weapons that you swing once and everything in front of you dies. And I would do anything to get that when I was playing this game. So I didn't... Main prioritization for me was getting an axe. Second prioritization was getting an axe with a good ability on it. Right. Didn't care. As long as it was an axe, everything's getting fucked up in this game. That's how I was playing it. When you get to the third world boss, which maybe we should talk about this later, but I just want to... I'm going to give you a slight warning about something that's...
Sure, go ahead.
It's like a baby spoiler. Because you've kind of seen this coming as you play the game. I think last week when I talked about this, I said, as you play the game, it will get exponentially harder. So if you think about the gap from the first boss to the second, and how many new mechanics were introduced with that second boss, there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of ads flying around. The boss was launched the orange bullets of doom.
Yeah, I mean, I think the second boss took me 3 attempts. It wasn't anything too crazy.
Sure. Boss 3 is a full-on bullet hell.
Okay.
Full-on bullet hell. It's a calamity. How much shit is on the screen. And it was when I got to him that I said, oh, here's the game. Because it didn't feel like there was enough challenge to Cult of the Lamb to even justify it being a roguelike until I got there. It's like, this is a walk in the park. This is a kid's game. This is so easy. Then I got there and went, oh, yeah, no, never mind. Here it is. It's a bullet hell now. Got it. Ironically, though, that one still only took me 2 tries using the Axe of Doom strategy. So
right.
Cult of the Lamb, interesting game. What's been your overall feeling on it?
It's a jack of a lot of trades, and I don't think it's a master of any of them. I still really enjoy the game, and I do still really recommend it, but the farming is not particularly in-depth or rewarding. The dungeon fighting is not anything really super special. I mean, it's fine. It's serviceable. I enjoy it. I have fun with the game. But I think what makes this game sort of sing is the fact that the amount of things that are in it in one, and it does have that in concert with Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is addictive because there's so much shit to do. Like, you fire up Stardew Valley at any point in time, you're like, oh, that's right, I gotta go do this, I gotta go do that, or like, and this has that where it's like, oh, I gotta go play the dice game with that guy, and then I gotta go do the fishing ritual, and I gotta go fish so that I can finish this quest, and then okay, now I gotta build these things. Oh, that guy's sick, let me go get him better. Like, there's always something going on. I like the Twitch integration. I think it's fun that while I'm streaming, shout out to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/hellhero with 3s for E's, twitch.tv/H3LLH3RO. Pop in and say hello, please. Yeah, so, there's a lot going on. I wish that the skill tree was a little more in depth. Because it is just kind of like, okay, you got the next tier of weapons. Okay, now you can have more spells. It's not...
You just unlock everything. It's not a tree. There's no choice.
Exactly. And I think it would be a lot more interesting if the tree was bigger and had branching paths, and you could go like, I want to be like faster and more agile. So here's an unlock that makes your dodge, gives you a double dodge, or here's one that gives you movement speed, or I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that overcomplicates it. I see you kind of scoffing at me.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you dead in your tracks for a second. One of the things I like that this game doesn't do is exactly what you're talking about. Because anytime a game does that, there's a meta that everyone has to follow, and it's completely pointless that system even fucking exists. So I'm really glad that it just puts a tree in front of you. You can unlock it any which way you want, in whatever order you want.
Right, but you're going to get all of it.
Because if it's pick and choose, what are you going to end up doing? You're going to end up in front of a guide going, okay, what's the one that I should be using? And then you're just going to do that because that's what everyone does ever. Here's what I don't like. Okay, I'll give you something.
I have a couple gripes as well, but go ahead.
Well, I guess the main thing. Okay, because sure, I could nitpick in that, but you know me, I hate nitpicking. There is one big major fucking problem besides the game crashing all the time. That I wish was not the case with this game. And that is, let's compare it to Hades real quick. One of the things Hades got the most right was letting you pick your weapon before you started a run.
Yes.
This game doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And what's kind of messed up is, so you go into the next level for your cave run or whatever, and 2 things appear, right? You're like, oh, 2 things. Maybe I can choose something here. No, it's just whatever the fuck your ability's going to be, and whatever your weapon's going to be.
Yep.
All right, go get them. And that's it. And it's like, God, it would be so much better if, you just picked what weapon you wanted to use. Like, as I was saying before, I really like the axe. And, for me, some of the game is unplayable with the fucking dagger. That thing's a piece of shit.
Right.
You have to, the DPS doesn't add up because you have to spend so much uptime swinging the thing. So, I mean, either some weapon balancing or just give us a choice to use something.
Yeah, I mean, they went the Dead Cells route. Dead Cells does the same thing. It's like you start the game and it's like, here's your weapon, here's your power-up. Go. And sometimes it's like, oh, God, I hate this weapon. I hate this power-up. This is going to be a shitty run because this is what I'm starting with. So I agree. I do prefer the Hades of it all where you're like, all right, I like this gun. I like this weapon. I'm just going to use that. I will say for a roguelike, I feel like you're not upgrading enough as you run through it. Like exactly what you're talking about, where it just goes, here's your weapon, here's your power up. You do get opportunities to change your weapon, but it's not that often. Whereas I feel like in Dead Cells, it's like constant. I mean, you're like rebuilding your set on a pretty constant basis. I feel like your gripe would go away if there were more
those
possible
rooms,
weapon drops.
So the weapon drop rooms come up in the fighting cells.
Yeah.
So like as you're picking your path, the ones that have a sword on it, go in them.
Yeah.
And then you really have to exhaust the map to look for every room. But you'll find them every time. Like I said, I only died once I got to World 3. It's because I had a great success rate in getting the gear that I wanted throughout. So I mean, it wasn't the biggest deal on the planet, but
yeah. My main gripe with the game is enemy visibility. The game is so pretty, and there's so much shit in the foreground blocking you. There's so many times I get hit by an enemy that I didn't even know was there, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, I've kind of just like, it's so egregious in giving you hearts back. I've never gone into a boss fight without full health, so I'm like, you know what, whatever. It's fine. For the most part, Cult of the Lamb, I've really enjoyed. I'm 16 hours in. The things that it gets right is, I think the combat is something it gets right. It feels identical to Castle Crashers, if you remember that game.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep.
It feels identical to Castle Crashers, which is a good thing. And anyone who's played Castle Crashers, good on you. That's a great game. The farming and stuff, it's annoying at first, but once I reached the point, I'm not even done with World 4 yet, where I am completely maxed out on every ability. My town is completely maxed out on everything possible. And it feels like it's been that way for a while. I have like 35 followers in my camp working. It looks like a fever dream of like a kid's TV show farm animal collection when I log into that game. But I'm bored.
Yeah.
But I'm bored. And I've found that that's kind of been a consensus with a lot of people with this game is I've kind of gotten to the point with it where I'm like, all right, okay, I'm ready for it to be done now. It seemed really cool at first, but, you know, it's just not deep enough or whatever. There's just not enough going on. And it's like, it looks like finish World 4. Obviously, there's another world behind it. Finish World 5.
Yeah.
And that's that. And it kind of feels like a grind at this point where I'm like...
Well, and the other... for people that are considering getting this game, another gameplay loop that this reminded me of is that game Moonlighter, where at night you go into the dungeon, you fight a bunch of shit, and then when you come out, you have to open shop and sell all the stuff that you found. This is very much like that. It's like you go in the dungeon, you fight everything, and then you're like, all right, now I got to do the garden, I got to cook some food, I got to do my sermon, I got to build some stuff, I got to put him in jail. Okay, cool. Everything in the town is all set. We're all good. Back to the dungeon. And that is the loop where you really are just kind of, when you're back in the village, you got to make sure that everybody's happy and everything's working, and you know, you're looting everything you're supposed to loot and fixing everything you're supposed to fix, and then you go back and do it again. So I can see, I'm not where you are yet, where you're bored, but I can see where that would be like, okay,
my town runs itself. Like, people don't even die in my
right.
Nobody dies. It's yeah. So I just need to push through and finish it is basically where I'm at.
Yeah, I think we'll probably both roll credits on this by next episode.
Hopefully so. Right. That'll wrap up what we've been playing this past week. Next up, we have the return of one of my favorite segments of the show. That's right. That's time for Pick 3.
Yeah.
Haven't done a Pick 3 in a minute, so... Gamescom and its infamous opening night was this past week. I watched it. I thought we were going to do an entire show about how amazing Gamescom was and all the amazing new announcements that Jeff Keeley had promised us, and guess what? Brum, 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 brum.
Yeah, it was kind of a blower.
It wasn't that good. No, it really wasn't. But there were moments of greatness within Gamescom between a swath of just really dumb-looking stuff. Like, what was that one game, Friend versus Friend?
A card shooter? I don't know. It looked awful. You know, my biggest gripe with the Gamescom thing is that there were so many trailers that were just cinematics. How can I get excited for the Dune game, when it's just a dude standing in the desert? And they're like, oh, there's the ships from Dune. Okay, they're making a Dune game. Dope. That's awesome. Let's see this game. And then that's it. There is no game. It's just the cinematic. It was so many of these games was just cinematics.
Yeah.
We are gamers. We want to see the game. This is a simple concept. I don't think I've ever watched a cinematic trailer and been super pumped on anything other than like Blizzard. Blizzard knows how to make a cinematic trailer. You know, when you were like big into World of Warcraft and they came out with the next reveal, and they can make a trailer to blow your fucking mind. But that ain't the Dune trailer. That ain't the what. I mean, it was a lot of cinematic trailers that didn't show us much, and then there's a lot of updates of things we already knew about. Like there was no big, I wanted like BioShock 4 or the next Mass Effect, or here's gameplay for the new Dragon Age. Like, I wanted some big fucking slap your dick down on the table shit, and we didn't get any of that.
No. Although we did get some things that were cool. And
we did.
We're going to talk about those things real quick. I'll get us started with the pick 3. And my first pick was the Lords of the Fallen. The Lords of the Fallen. So you may remember there was a game that came out back in 2013 that among the fans of Souls-like games was pretty okay, called Lords of the Fallen. So a new game called The Lords of the Fallen has taken shape. Now, this isn't news to most of us that have been following the development hell of what was formerly called Lords of the Fallen 2. The original Lords of the Fallen game was originally made by none other than, of course, Deck 13, who went on to make the Surge games, and also had a game being featured in this show. Atlas something. The game
Atlas Fallen.
The game with sand. That's right. So that project switched hands a few times and finally landed with Hexworks. Now, this is a game that, by all accounts, tickles Johnny Polis's peeve of just being a cinematic trailer.
Yes.
And by my accounts, tickles one of my ultimate peeves, which is using music from classic rock juxtaposed with dark fantasy shit going down. Playing Mother by Danzig does not make me want to buy your game. It really doesn't.
No.
However, goddamn did they give Lords of the Fallen a facelift by show of just style and atmosphere and everything. Yes, we know what the game's going to be already. We know it's going to be another Souls-like. Hopefully it's going to play more like Elden Ring than a Dark Souls game. Or just stick to its Souls-light heritage from Lords of the Fallen. But the art style was too good. I couldn't shake it, and I said, you know what? Damn it. This game looks like it could be cool. Even though I have no idea what this game is.
Yep.
But damn it, the art style looked cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a fucking heavy metal record cover. So, shit, I'm down.
It just hopefully doesn't actually feature Danzig.
Yeah, no, please, no.
Johnny, that's my first pick. What's yours?
Callisto Protocol, man. I mean, I've been pumped on this game since the moment it was announced, and now that we've actually gotten like a real gameplay video where the dude's grabbing the enemy and throwing him into the grinder, and then they were talking about this new mechanic where the monsters can actually mutate. So you'll shoot off an arm and you shoot off a head, and you'll see like these little tentacles come out. And that's your indicator that you have to shoot those tentacles. And if you don't do it in time, the monster will level up. But, I mean, the reason why we're all excited about this game, any of us that are Dead Space fans, is that this is run by Glenn Schofield, who was the Dead Space guy. And his big thing, the horn that he has been tooting this entire time, is that, you know, it may look like Dead Space, but this is a different thing because of the amount of time they're putting into the enemies. The enemies are going to hunt you through vents like xenomorphs. The enemies are going to mutate and level up and become more intimidating. And the main thing I liked about this gameplay trailer, the room that he's in is like 4 or 5 of the same enemies, and he dispatches the first few relatively easily. It's like, that guy's dead, okay, let me stealth that guy, cool, he's dead. The next guy puts up a little bit more of a fight, and it was like, I remember when I was watching the video live on YouTube, people were commenting like, damn, that guy's taking a lot of hits, oh, that's too much damage, like, and I'm going, fuck, that's awesome. I mean, that's what, give me enemies where they may all look the same, but because I didn't do the right thing, or I didn't respond the right way, now the shit has hit the fan. And I love this mechanic of the tentacles are out, and if you don't respond quickly, if you miss it, if you think they're dead and maybe they're not, that these are adaptable and intelligent alien like enemies. Glenn Schofield has been talking a ton about the AI in this game, and that's the main thing that makes me excited about it. But I mean, from the jump, the presentation on this game is awesome. It looks great, and
I was happy to finally
we're both Dead Space fans, so I'm in. I think this game looks amazing.
I was happy to finally just see some uninterrupted gameplay.
Yes.
For this. About damn time. Because we've been seeing like the same trailer for, God, what, like half a year?
Yeah. But no, the tone is perfect. The look is perfect.
Perfectly Dead Space.
Perfectly Dead Space.
As much as he might want to say, oh, it's so different. Okay, yeah, shut up.
It's Dead Space. It is Dead Space. That's okay.
It doesn't really look any different. But, well, we hear you, Glenn. We hear you, buddy. Just don't send any weird fucking babies at me and we'll be fine.
Oh my God, I hated those things. Okay, what's your second game?
Right, so game number 2 for me, I am cautiously cautious about. But in that, I am also a sliver of optimistic. The game that I thought was honestly the most impressive looking new thing from the whole Gamescom, what have you, is this game called Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet, I don't really know what to make of it, other than it has beautiful design, particularly in the cinematics. The gameplay loops looked interesting. There was this other game floating around for a while that was supposed to be coming out of China called like Wukong, where you played as like the monkey with the Daibo or whatever.
Yep.
And a lot of the takes reminded me of that. During the Gamescom thing, they kept calling it like, what was it, like a Ghost of Tsushima like? I'm like, what crack are you guys on? They're like doing like shadow moves and like crazy kung fu shit. And it's like, Ghost of Tsushima is a very grounded, kind of raw game. And like, this doesn't look like that. This looks more like it's got Bayonetta fucking combat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what's interesting with it is, from the gameplay bits that we saw, and from some interviews that they did during the show, here's the good and bad. Good is, it looks like a big open world game where you have a lot of choice over what your character is. Graphics are absolutely beautiful. Combat looks tight. Style. Like, there's style for days, and hopefully the story's good. Here's where I get concerned. Number one, it's being made by Everstone Studios. Johnny, who's Everstone Studios? Great.
No idea.
Nobody knows who they are because they've never done anything. And they're based out of China, which is just, look, it's concerning. China's a place where your kids are dictated by the government how long they can play video games. Not you, the government. So Tencent is desperately trying to buy everything out of China to get away from that government. So having a dev team making a beautiful project in China already has like a little bit of a ticking time bomb attached to it, where shit could just hit the fan at any moment just because of the government over there. So who knows? The other part that concerns me is they're doing classic, we need shut the fuck up training. Okay, No Man's Sky was a perfect history bookmark for shut the fuck up before your game comes out. So I want to read you this little bit here. They gave an interview to IGN. Okay. So in their interview with IGN, Everstone Studios revealed that Where Winds Meet was designed with a high degree of freedom in mind. As such, Where Winds Meet will include a robust jobs system that allows players to specialize in a, quote, variety of identities and occupations that exist in an Oriental martial arts society. For example, players could become ill due to harsh weather environments. As such, this player can learn medicinal abilities to become a doctor who can heal not only themselves, but also NPCs and other players online. Quote, other than becoming a doctor, players can choose other occupations. Everstone says, quote, for example, they can become an orator who uses the power of words to convince NPCs to follow their advice. They can become an architect who builds all kinds of imaginative buildings. They can become a bodyguard who protects players or NPCs from assassins. Or they can become a ferryman who takes passengers on a tour of the river.
Of which they showed none of any of that.
Okay. Hang on a sec.
We saw a woman with a sword kill things.
So, Chinese team, right? Teams in China never made anything before. And whenever I see an open world game and I hear somebody talking all this crazy shit, like, there was a day and time where we fell for that crazy shit spiel, right? There was a day and time. I want to say it was like 10 or so years ago, right?
It was before Star Citizen.
It was before No Man's Sky originally came out.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that. It's not going to be how they're describing that.
No. My biggest concern with this game, and I'm surprised you didn't mention it, the frame rate of the trailer.
Oh, and the gameplay was abysmal.
Was atrocious.
Yeah.
The frame rate was like...
And the cinematics, it was
20 frames a second.
But yeah, whenever they cut over the gameplay, it was a dog.
Once they showed actual gameplay, it reminded me of Hyrule Warriors. Hyrule Warriors on Switch, from a distance, looks fine, but in actual like execution, it's like 15 frames a second. That's what this looked like, and I don't want to play a game like that runs at that frame rate. Hopefully that's because it's alpha and they're not anywhere near optimized yet, but the frame rate of the gameplay in that trailer was really, really bad.
Well, and here, let me couple to that point, because the other thing about this is it was announced only for PC.
Yeah.
That don't look like a PC-only game to me, so... I'm concerned, But that being said, it was the coolest looking thing presented at the show. That's my second pick, Johnny. Back to you.
My second pick was also my favorite trailer of Gamescom, which was the last case of Benedict Fox. So this is a side-scrolling Lovecraftian Metroidvania, where you are going back and forth between dimensions, and you are leveling up through getting different tattoos that give you different power-ups, and everything about this game just oozes style. It looks awesome. I watched the trailer and was like, I was just like brimming with excitement. I thought it looked great. Concerns on this one.
What is this one?
The last case of Benedict Fox.
You'll have to say that like a million times.
Sure.
That is what should we call it moving forward? That's too much. Benedict Fox?
Yeah, just call it Benedict Fox.
Let's call it Benedict Fox, but
okay. So anyway, my big concern with Benedict Fox is when you go to the developer is Plot Twist, and when you go to their website and look at the things that they have made, there is not anything of note. I mean, nothing of note. They have made games before, okay, fine, but for somebody to give a trailer that strong, and then you go to their list and it's like, hey, remember Drift Zone? That was us. We made that. Hey, remember Tacticool Champs? The online racing arcade? No. So, as awesome as this trailer looked, when I look at what they've made, it's a whole lot of not much. So maybe they're opening the next chapter, and I hope that that's the case, because I watched this trailer and was very impressed. And you know I'm a fan of Metroidvanias. I loved what I saw in the Metroidvania, and I love the style and vibe of this game. I loved the voice acting of the demon voice and how fucking cool that sounded. The lighting effects, there was one part where it was like black and white with a flashlight. Reminded me of like Limbo, I think was the game. But I don't know. It's a Metroidvania. It looks dope. If you haven't seen a gameplay trailer of it yet, search The Last Case of Benedict Fox and check it out. I watched the trailer and was like, holy shit. It's a day one for me. I think it looks awesome.
The name of the game isn't very strong.
No.
But the gameplay, it was all gameplay. And,
yeah, it's all gameplay.
Visual is incredibly strong.
Well, and they're also pushing really hard in this trailer with the detective side of it, where you are like kind of finding these clues and trying to get to the bottom of the case, and like I'm into that. Everything about this gameplay loop looks awesome.
It's the best looking Metroidvania I've seen.
Same. I thought it was the most graphically impressive Metroidvania game I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, slaps Ori down significantly.
Yeah.
All right, I got to talk about it. Dead Island 2, this generation's Duke Nukem Forever, finally has...
Yeah, no kidding.
Finally has a release date. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because the first Dead Island, which the release date, of course, is February 2nd. So a few months away. The first Dead Island game was made by none other than Techland, who, of course, just went on to make, Dying Light and Dying Light 2. Pretty big games.
Yep.
And Dead Island was left all alone on an island.
I see what you did there.
Did you like it?
I will allow it.
Okay. Well, Dead Island 2 looks a lot better than the first Dead Island game. Because honestly, the first Dead Island game sucked. It was not good. It was not good.
Yeah, well, and the first Dead Island came out during that big burst in zombie games. It felt like everyone and their mother was making zombie games, and Dead Island was not at the top.
I mean,
of the
they had the
pile
best zombie game trailer of all time for that first Dead Island game. Dead Island 2, Johnny, do you remember when the first trailer for Dead Island 2 came out?
It's been 7 years or more.
2014
Damn.
was when it first got its announcement. So obviously, it's not anything the same as it used to be. Nope. It's been all over the place. It's crossed some very prominent developers too. Jaeger had it at one point. The people that made Spec Ops: The Line, Sumo Digital had it, and then it landed with Dambuster, who actually got the game done. This game looks fucking brutal in all the right ways.
Yep,
in ways that a zombie game should look, and it's mainly just because of that I'm like, you know what? I'm interested in this game. It has the tropey wit of a zombie game in 2022, where everyone's like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Wow, what's that? Oh my goodness. Somehow that didn't kill me. It's that, which sucks, but I mean, that's everything. Blame Marvel for that. Mr. Dude wearing a Thor shirt. Oh, I didn't know I was that strong. Oh, wow, we should have totally died during that. Oh, how did we get through this? Oh, I guess we got to do this again. That's fucking Marvel Studios writing all over it. Jesus Christ. But it's the thing that sells. People like snarky lead characters. Thanks, Marvel. But at least in this one, after they're done being snarky and stupid and predictable, you can slice out a zombie's jugular in a very graphic fashion. So I'm excited for Dead Island 2, and I'm looking forward to playing it. Johnny,
same.
That throws it over to you for our last pick 3.
My third and final pick 3 is New Tales from the Borderlands. I didn't know this was coming. I had no idea that this was a thing. I liked the first one a lot. The first one was developed by Telltale. The thing that intrigued me about this and why this got my interest, because if it had been Telltale is doing a sequel to Tales of the Borderlands, I don't think it'd be in my pick 3. I'd probably be excited about it, probably still play it. Don't think it'd be in my pick 3. The reason why this is in my pick 3 is it's developed by Gearbox. And any of our listeners that are big Telltale fans, what I'm about to say might offend you, and I apologize. The weak point in every one of the Telltale games is the gameplay. I'm air quoting if you're not watching us on YouTube. Okay? The gameplay of the Telltale games is not great. The story is always great. The plot twists are always great. The characters are fully realized. The dialogue is amazing. The Telltale games are all about story, and that story is almost always very, very well done. I've played a big pile of the Telltale games, and I do love them for it, but the part that's actual gameplay, where I'm walking around and I'm doing things, is very, very casual. I'm really curious to see what Gearbox is going to do with this thing. They didn't give us much. It really was kind of a cinematic trailer. But I am extremely intrigued to see what happens when Gearbox makes a Telltale-style game. And I've always been a huge fan of the old-school adventure games. So anytime of a huge... I mean, you got to think about it. This is the biggest developer to make an adventure game since fucking LucasArts. I mean, we have not had a massive video game studio do, hey, we're doing an adventure game in a very, very long time. Can you think of any? I can't.
I mean,
Double Fine's had a couple, but that's not a big developer.
I mean, I can name some rather big games there. I don't.
But they're not. That's the thing, though. The Telltale game is very much they used to call them point and click, but now that they're on consoles, that doesn't really work. But the Telltale games are very much old school point and click games. They are walk here, pick this up, walk there, talk to that person, use this item here, use this item on that door, whatever. It's that type of game. They're typically not made by big developers, and Gearbox is a big developer.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of like Quantic Dream, and like that's what they do.
Yeah.
They're huge. They have a...
Yeah, but those are like action adventure. That's different.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're exactly this. Have you played the Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls?
Of course.
Detroit Become?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not action games. They're really well done story games.
No, you're right. You're right. That's a good call out.
Yeah.
The Heavy Rain, the what was the Elliot Page one? Why am I drawing a blank on that?
Beyond Two Souls?
Yes, Beyond Two Souls. You're right. Beyond Two Souls, Become Human. Yep.
You said
you're
Elliot
right.
Page, which is why it threw me, because Elliot Page did not exist at the time of Beyond Two Souls.
Correct.
A person who was someone else existed.
Yep.
And yeah. That game,
but no,
that game's again older than you think. That was 2013 is when that first came out.
Wow. That's wild. But no, I'm excited to see Gearbox make an adventure game. I'm really intrigued to see what they do. I want to see if they do something beyond that Telltale thing, which I think they probably will.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing in that genre, yeah, and I realized this when I was playing Tiny Tina the other day. I just fucking hate Gearbox. I think they suck. I think they've been doing the same thing for way too long, and I can't get excited about anything they do anymore because it's just the same shit. And it's like there's jokes,
but this is them doing something very
no, it's not. Because dude, no, it's not. Because I already know. I can already tell from looking at the trailers and everything. I know exactly how everyone in this game is going to behave. Because Borderlands characters always behave the exact same fucking way.
Okay, fair enough.
And you know what? If they do one thing different than Telltale, it doesn't make it different. It's still going to be in that universe. It's still going to be a point-and-click adventure. And I'm just like, I'm really struggling with Tiny Tina. And it's not because of the... It's because I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the writing. And everything, I'm struggling.
You get excited about F1 racing games. I get excited about point-and-click adventure games.
I mean, I like some... Life is Strange. Almost my game of the year last year. Okay?
True.
So, I just like ones that aren't the most predictable and overdone style I can think of in gaming, which is Borderlands at this point. There's been so many Borderlands games. Pre-sequel, 1, 2, 3, Tiny Tina, the Tales from the Borderlands games. And it's like I don't know, they all hit the same way to me. And like
Tales from the Borderlands is nothing like the other Borderlands games.
Well, okay, gameplay, no. I'm not talking about gameplay. Are we on the same page?
No, but even story-wise, I think the characters in Tales from the Borderlands
it's just
is much better realized than the regular Borderlands games.
I don't know, man. I disagree.
That's fair.
I think you could put them all in the same room and it just sound like a bunch of ducks quacking, telling the same kind of jokes.
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought Tales from the Borderlands was a lot less jokey than the rest of the Borderlands games. It's a big part of the reason why I liked it.
All they were doing in the trailer was joking. It was just, the comedic gab. So I don't know. Maybe that's just not a series for me. I'm still going to try and beat this Tiny Tina's game, but yeah, that was my takeaway on it. As I saw it, I went, that is some more Borderlands.
Yep.
Pick 3 completed.
Yes, sir.
And I guess just to kind of drive home the point from before, the fact that a Tales from the Borderlands games is something that we had to talk about after Gamescom basically
Very
says
true.
everything that needed to be said about Gamescom. Is it just wasn't really that big. So,
well, if you remember last week, I was like, maybe we'll have a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how fucking pumped I was for Gamescom, and it just, I mean, there was some cool shit, but it wasn't anything.
Yeah, there's no 2-parter coming on this one.
No.
So we're rapid fire here, okay? Rapid fire one.
Okay.
I don't even think the soundbite's working. So, one up. What's your one up this week?
My one up this week is Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope. I hadn't watched it yet. I watched it last night.
What's your gut rating?
4 stars out of 5. I really, really liked it a lot. I think it's Jordan Peele's second best movie. So I really liked Get Out. I thought Get Out was a fucking masterpiece. I did not like Us.
Me either.
At all. Credits rolled, and I was like, ugh.
Yep, not good.
Completely forgettable, stupid twist.
It was bad.
Performances were fine, but, dude, you and I share one major thing in common, and that is that we both love sci-fi horror.
Yes.
And this is a very well realized sci-fi horror. The twist is very cool. Some of the meta commentary with the different characters is very cool. The ship that is hunting these people is fucking awesome. Daniel Kaluuya is fantastic as always. It's teetering. I might watch it a second time and say, nope, that's Jordan Peele's best movie. I've only watched it once. I really, really, really liked it. If you enjoy sci-fi, if you like sci-fi horror, strongly recommend it. And also, if you avoid some horror because it's too gory, I will say a lot of the gore in this movie was sort of implied violence. There was a lot of shit happens behind the couch or shit happens on the other side of the wall. There's not a lot of in-your-face gore. So somebody that could, if you can handle Stranger Things, you can handle this. No problem at all. But strong recommend. Fucking loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
My one up this week is House of Dragons.
Haven't watched it yet.
That's really unfortunate because I'm here to talk about House of Dragons and how awesome it is. It's more or less a complete return to form for Game of Thrones. And episode 2 just aired tonight, and I'm completely hooked on it. If you liked the first Game of Thrones, except for the final season, which just admittedly was dog shit.
Pretty bad.
Fear not. There's none of that going on here. It is a very slow-paced show, as it should be, and the new characters are all fantastic.
Awesome.
And I love it. It's really great. So it's nice to have something like that back in the TV realm. So, House...
I know, and we get Lord of the Rings soon.
The pre-reviews on it are way too good. They're really good.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
I don't know.
When I see critics say that it raises the bar for what television can be, and you go, okay, that's probably a bit much, and then you read the next review, and they're like, cinematic masterpiece, sits right toe-to-toe with Lord of the Rings. I have yet to find a bad review for Lord of the Rings. Haven't found it. I've tried.
Johnny, what year is it?
2022.
Okay. Who is one of the wealthiest people on the entire planet Earth?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos owns what company?
Amazon.
And who has this show?
Amazon.
Do you think maybe we should just wait for it to come out before we listen to all these critics that are obviously getting funneled a lot of money to come out and talk about?
Whatever. There have been so many Amazon series that have been dragged behind the back of a truck.
I refuse to get overly hyped before I see it. Totally refuse to get overly hyped before I see it.
Nope. I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm in. I'm pumped. I can't wait. I'm counting the days.
Yep. I want to see it.
Can't wait.
But I don't like it when it's this, because that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. I've never seen it. Dude, what's the best TV series you've ever watched? TV's been around a long fucking time, brother.
Top 3, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Ozark.
Okay. Band of Brothers.
Another good one. Very
The
good
Pacific.
Also very good.
Okay. Those were directed by Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg.
All right. I was only going to name one of them, but you did 3, so I gave you 2.
That's fine.
Grain of salt here. All right. That's pretty fucking incredible cinema. And if we're even in that neighborhood, I'm happy. Like, it doesn't have to reinvent what's been done on TV, but that's been done on TV, and it was done on HBO. So the shows you named, Sopranos, HBO. So, like, I'm ready. I want to see it, but I'm not gonna get overly hyped, because here's what'll happen. Like, if the first and second episode are just like, oh my god, this shit's so great, you can't keep up that kind of bar over the course of an entire TV show. That's going to go on and on and on and on. We saw that with Game of Thrones. That people were saying the same shit about that after the first season. What happened? So I'm ready for it, but this isn't like a one-off thing. It's not like a mini series, right?
Right.
And that's the sacred ground for television. If you have a mini series where you can come in, you can do your thing, it's fucking awesome, and then you're out.
Drop the mic and walk away.
That's the only way, like, you can achieve God tier.
Yeah.
Because even The Sopranos had that moment where, like, everyone was like, what the fuck? Because its ending was kind of weird for a show of that tenure. So, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
But I am and I don't mean to rain on the excitement parade, but I am a wee...
Don't worry, you can't. You cannot.
I'm just a wee bit concerned with how it looks right now. But
dude, I am Avengers Endgame level of hype right now on Lord of the Rings. I cannot fucking wait.
I know. What's the release date for the show? Then we'll wrap this up.
Friday.
Is this Friday? And is it episode by episode, or is it the whole series?
2 episodes premiere Friday, and then I think it's weekly after that.
Roger that. So I guess we know what your one-up will be next week.
Probably.
Yes, indeed. I'll have to watch it too. Well, until then, that wraps us up. We're a little over on time, so it's time to shut this down, ladies and gentlemen. We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer Podcast for you to enjoy. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Polish.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip flop.